So last topic, and I guess we can kind of like get in on this one, is that according to Richard, at least, he has he has released an article that says that CS:GO 2, CS2, Counter Strike, Source 2 is a reality, and that it's much closer than we think. It's not some far off distance. It's something in the far off distance. It seems like this is right around the corner, that we will be getting a beta soon, a beta client of the new version of the game. To me, because I keep making this, like I've been making this argument for years now, is that they will do nothing that risks killing the golden egg that is printing them billions of dollars, which is the skin market. And so to me, this just speaks like, okay, they made a priority of figuring out how to port this game over safely, and that they have finally found a solution to port the game over safely onto a new engine without having any negative impact on the skin market. That's pretty much it. Like everything else kind of comes along with that. But some of the things that were brought up,
if you just look at what they did with Dota 2, essentially like the same thing happened there. So it's just implied like Valve has a track record of sort of caring that you about your inventory, right?
yes, that's exactly it. That's detailed. Again, all the links to the articles and everything we talk about are down below in the description. If you want to look and read the article yourself, I recommend it. Go and support Richard. He started a Substack, and at least sign up to receive notifications when he writes something. And if you want to support him, you can support him there directly. But in his article, that is one of the points that Richard mentions, and that Valve have a track record now where they will release a game in parallel, which is how they did it with Dota 2, where you had the main client and then you had the parallel client, and then they eventually just phased it over to the new client of Dota. And I think that's exactly how it's going to go here, where they'll probably release a beta client for you to be able to test CS:GO 2 out, or CS2 out. You're going to be able to test it out there, and then eventually they will phase it over and make that the main client. Now, how that has an impact on us, this will be very curious to see, because there's some of the things as well. They not only are they going there, they are apparently making changes that I didn't think were possible, and that I've heard Valve developers make arguments to me personally in the past about why they wouldn't do these things. And so one thing was 128 tick servers apparently
probably
are going
the
to
most
become
famous thing they've ever asked for in CS:GO from fans from the entire time. Almost 10 years, people have just been asking about that one thing, haven't they? Yeah.
But again, the discussions that I've had in the past have always revolved around how it's a very niche thing. The people who even know what 128 tick is, because we live in our little echo chambers of Reddit and whatnot, we think that everybody, like all the player base knows what 128 tick is. In reality, it's a very small number of the player base.
No matchmaking person knows about me. It's just
nobody would be able to tell the difference either. Yes. I don't think the vast majority of people would not be able to tell the difference between.
Dude, in the modern day in CS:GO, if you ever play matchmaking, people don't even complain about the server reg that much. That used to be a big thing in 1.6. Everyone was a hardcore esports nerd. In CS:GO, I think they just think they missed, even if the server's terrible,
And that's that comes down to a number of things as well, i.e. what's your routing like to your server? Are you going in a zigzag all over the place, hitting a bunch of different nodes, or do you happen to have like a straight line to the server? So it's like there's all sorts of things that go into it, right? Sure. And so when having these kinds of discussions, it was always a question of it's just like what's the trade-off here? Like what are we gonna are we gonna have to spend a lot more money to have 128 tick? Is it worth that spend versus what the return is, all that? And so it looks like Valve are finally kind of succumbing to this kind of pressure, and I guess maybe Riot with Valorant have this kind of pressure on them, right? Because Riot are using 128 tick for Valorant, so maybe they feel like, okay, well, I guess if Riot are using it, we have to do it. Seems like a weird thing to do from Valve, but reportedly we're gonna have 128 tick. Personally, I think that the vast majority of the player base don't even know what 128 tick is and wouldn't be able to tell you the difference anyways. And so the reason for spending more money to me just seems like a dick measuring contest between Riot and Valve. Like Valve are finally just fed up of being compared to Riot, and so they're going to do it anyways. But it seems like a silly thing to me. And oh well, PR points, I guess, for Valve. The other one though that I found that this was also really interesting is that apparently they're going to make third party matchmaking services redundant. Apparently, they're going to take a lot of what was in Faceit and ESEA and just put that straight into the client. So you're going to have 128 tick, and you're going to have all the support that you get out of Faceit and ESEA, but you're going to have that in the client itself. This is Valve just essentially saying, go fuck yourselves to these third-party clients, and like you guys can exist, and that's fine. We're not going to explicitly stop you from existing, but you're going to have to get creative to find a way to make it worthwhile for somebody to spend money on Faceit Premium when they can get the exact same kind of service right here in the game. So that also to me is a big one from Valve, because Valve have always said like, hey, listen, if you want 128, just go to Face It, whatever. You got third parties that offer that service to you. Now Valve are just going to pull the rug out completely under from Face It and just say, okay, we're going to offer that ourselves. Now this is mad. The timing that Face It had with this buyout, dude. Like Face It could not have got bought by ESL at a better time and for a better price. Because if they'd have waited another 6 months to a year, no way they're getting that amount of money. And obviously, if CS2 comes out and it's offering all the same stuff as their platform, they probably see a huge drop in subscriber numbers to their platform, and all of a sudden you're not getting bought for the same amount of money. So that was one takeaway from me personally, was just like, holy shit, Face It just won the lottery, right? When the stars aligned for them to get bought when they did, because there's no way they're getting that kind of money today with everything that's happening. So huge win for Face It. We'll see if it's a huge win for the CS community. Do you have any takeaway from this potential next version of the game that's coming out?
I think this entire affair, and if people don't know, at the time of recording, people have now, for something mental, like over a week, every day acted like it's Christmas Eve, and they wake up in the morning, there's no Santa Claus, no presents, and they think it's Christmas Eve again. Like, you people are actually marks. You are fucking marks. Like, this is so embarrassing the way you're all behaving online. Like, you're actually pathetic. Like, spoiler, when CSGO 2 or CS Source 2 or Source 2 comes out, you won't be able to miss it, you moron. It'll be across the entire internet, including all of Reddit. But instead, the Reddit subreddit has to be like 30 fucking shit hints that CS2 is definitely coming. Like, just grow up. Because there's the problem I have with this is, to me, this is a massive nothing burger, or it is going to ruin everything. So here's the problem. I'll even say, I'll go in reverse order, Semmler. I actually am going to disagree with you. I don't think this will actually destroy the business of Face It and ESEA at all. Here's why. Because I actually don't think the best thing about those services is things like 128 tick or like higher quality. I actually think the best thing about those services is that they cost money. Because the second you charge even $1, I can tell you this from with my own Patreon. If people don't know, here's a gem for you. I'm the one who had the idea for ESEA to do Gather server as a premium service. I literally am the one. I used to have 20% directly of their revenue of their company go to me every month. That's a little detail people don't know in CSGO, because I keep a few secrets close to my chest. So basically, I know all about like why that service succeeded. Part of what makes it succeed, Semmler, is that the second you put a financial barrier on entering the server and playing, you get rid of 99% of antisocial people. Like, when you play Face It, yeah, you get the guy who complains but still plays to win the game because he wants the elo, right? Yeah, you get the person who flames you on the other team way better than you. You don't get, like, the guy who joins your team and just spin bots and fucks up the game. You don't get the guy who stands behind you the whole time to get you to when you drop the AWP, he gets you killed and then he's still... That's matchmaking shit. That's 14-year-old kids who already have the game and now they have no downside consequences to fucking with people in the game and doing things like joining with a stack of 3 people and then just booting you from the server if you complain about. That's all behavior of antisocial youth, like in the wider society, who have no money and they've got all the time in the world to just be an arsehole and to harass old people and to spray paint things and to smash a glass bottle on the floor near a bin. It's all the things you see in society, but mirrored in video game behavior. The second you have a paywall, you eliminate the majority of that. Not least because not only does it cost money, but when you pay the money, there's admins in a paid service that'll instantly boot you when you do that behavior. You can pay for CSGO. Is a Valve admin going to come and check? No, they're not. So the problem I think is this: even if you make the server as good quality as Face It, which I agree they could do, look, for the casuals, yeah, they're just going to play that. I think they were already playing matchmaking anyway. I think the person who wants the experience of Face It, like grind elo, play with like-minded people who are also like semi-serious competitive, you want like certain aspects to be like a real paid service. Like, I'm not going to have any trash around here annoying me. Those aspects will still exist, in my opinion, in ESEA and Face It. So to me, like, and also, as you say, it's all 128 ticks and all servers are not created equal. I think what will happen is the Valve matchmaking 128 tick will just be like the worst version of that, because again, they're going to populate 1 billion servers on the internet. If you go to the Face It one, I imagine they'll still have like top quality hardware. They'll do like one thing back in the day, I can tell you from ESEA that used to make some of the servers dodgy, is to crush the margins. You put more servers onto one home server, because remember they're individual like virtual, you put like 50 instead of 10 or something. The point is, if you're smart and you'll face it, you make yours the highest quality server so that your 128 tick feels better, feels more because the hit reg is better. I think if you do all this stuff, it can still be like a bifurcated product. You can have the casual mode matchmaking and you can have hardcore people do this. So I think it won't be that big a deal. Then if we go to CSGO itself, the reason why it's a nothing burger is I don't think people have sat down and thought through the alternatives here or not the outcomes from Source 2 or CSGO 2. Like, here's what's weird. Everyone is clamoring, Semmler, on the inventory side. Like, all I want is an update to the graphics, but the same game and all my skins. Then what are you excited about?
Yeah, then what
because
do you care?
Here's what's weird. You're all getting excited like it's a new game, like it's a sequel. And what you think is this, and I get this. Look, you know from esports history, when a sequel comes out that can be drastically different, now it can change everything. Now your game could become a bigger game in esports. Now all the Valorant people might come to CSGO. Now people from other games might have interest. Now there's a million factors. Now maybe, here's a classic one, maybe you were average at CSGO, but you'll be amazing at CSGO too because it's a different game. Those are two scenarios that are mutually exclusive, guys. Which is it? Are we keeping the game we love, in which case nothing can go wrong, and let's just get better graphics for like modern players, and let's all have the skins, in which case, isn't it going to just be CSGO with better graphics day 2? You know what I mean? Like, there's not really that much hype. Or it's a fundamentally new game, and if it's a fundamentally new game, you have to ask yourself this. What if it all gets worse? What if the graphics are better, but the game's terrible? Because I'll just say there's one last thing that no one ever remembers, and I'm like the only person who ever brings this up, but I can't believe it's never talked about. Valve knows nothing about what makes Counter-Strike great. Valve's never made a great Counter-Strike game. The Counter-Strike game that Valve made was called CS Source. It is considered the worst Counter-Strike game in the franchise. The original Counter-Strike was made by Gooseman as a beta game, and by the way, go play it. In beta, it is 99% of what CS is. If anything, the retail versions watered the game down and took away things that people liked and made it less hardcore and made it more casual. So Valve never made that CS. That was just a game that, luckily for them, the SDK meant they owned once someone else used those tools to make it, and they did pay them a bit of cash and brought them on Valve. Then, for CSGO, this is the one people never remember. Somehow I'm the only one who ever brings this fact up, Semmler. Valve didn't even make CSGO. They got Third Path Entertainment, the company that they fixed Source, and just said, we're going to basically farm the game, white label the game to you, basically. You're going to make the game and then give it back to us. So you remember that terrible version of like beta? That's the dog shit that someone else made. And then, Valve like patched it up a bit, made it like not that bad. But there's a reason why a lot of us that are come from 1.6 to this day think CSGO isn't better than 1.6. It has a lot of aspects about it that you wouldn't choose as design aspects. So what I'm really concerned about is who programmed CSGO 2 if it's a different game? Do I know who they are? Do I understand that they understand Counter-Strike? Do they know the... Here's another thing. One last thing to say. Sure. I've always thought, for me, one of the reasons Counter-Strike is incredible is because what you and me call Counter-Strike is 5v5 max rounds in professional player setting. That, when Counter-Strike was invented, that wasn't even a dream. That wasn't even a twinkle in someone's eye. Counter-Strike back then was a public server game where you would have like 12 on 12 or 16 on 16. Remember, dude, the game originally wasn't even bomb defusal. It was you got hostages. You used to go and rescue that. The game was nothing like the modern esport. So when people say stuff like CSGO is a Valve game, it's like, in a legal sense, yeah. In a spiritual sense, not really at all. So I'm actually concerned about the idea that, like, I don't know if they make it fundamentally different. It'll be a good game, dude. It might be whack. Spoiler.
Valve are just Rito.
Everyone told me, you'll remember this detail as well. The whole reason why Valorant was definitely going to be amazing and kill CSGO is because Volcano used to be a pro in Counter-Strike and he's involved with making it. How did that one work out? How's your Valorant today, dickhead? Is it like Counter-Strike, dickhead? Are the maps like Counter-Strike, dickhead? No, they're not, dickhead. One of them has 3 bomb sites, dickhead. So the point is, if even Valorant with an actual lifelong Counter-Strike fan and aficionado who's mad hardcore and was pro in 2 versions of the game, if that's nothing like CSGO, why would a Valve-made sequel be good? So all I'll say is this. I personally hope it's the one I described before. It's just an engine update, a little bit of graphics. Hopefully they ported everything. The spray's the same, the AWP's the same. I'm just worried of this, Semmler. I would want that because I don't want the game to change. I love CSGO. I think it's brilliant. I think it could run for 10 more years. The problem I have is I think people want it to be a new game and they want the hype of everything changing. They want all the turmoil, but I don't think they understand that you don't always gain in that sense. Like, I actually think, as a quick aside, one of the things that political language has done is they've broken people's brain. People really believe through a mixture of progress and evolution that things only track upwards, that they only get better. That's not how anything works. Tech doesn't work that way, by the way. Sometimes you go backwards and you regress and go into a little pitfall where you don't have tech you had before. It doesn't work that way. So people think things, I think, like, well, there's so much money involved and it's such a big game now. They think it, as a follow-on, logically, it's just going to be a better game. I would say my experience says it's a crapshoot when a new game comes out. It could be good, it could be terrible.
Without a doubt. Oh man, dude, you always go so far. You give so many good little bits. Because now it's like, oh yeah, okay, that. Well, okay. One real quick. I have to walk that back because at least Valve did create a game. They created Half-Life, right? They're not like Riot who ripped off all of their games. You know, so it's like, okay, fair enough. You know, the Valve are at least one step above Riot in that sense. But you know, like Dota, that's not Valve. That they brought in Ice Frog. You know, like Half-Life, like you say. So you know. We'll pump the brakes a little bit on that, but you know, that was a little unfair to Valve. They're not as shit as Riot, so gotta clear that up real quick. And also, you know, it's so funny that you mentioned that in terms of like evolution and progress, because I was listening. There was an interesting point that I was listening to, and that was like really interesting food for thought in the sense that why is it that everybody's under this idea that mutation is good and that we are evolving? Wouldn't you think that it's actually the opposite and that we are in fact devolving as you add more and more mutation? We're actually devolving as a race, and that, you know, it's like it's getting worse and worse. You know, and cancer and everything. We're seeing more and more cancer. You know, like why are we seeing more and more? That happens from mutation. You know, it's like why would you think that we're improving and not it be the opposite, and that we are completely and you know just going off a fucking cliff, and it's just only accelerating with each generation?
I mean, let's be real, Semmler. The reason why, I know it's a rhetorical question, but the reason why is because they want it, because that would be what would be the most pleasant thing to believe, right? Is that, oh, everything's just getting better.
Yeah. Otherwise, people think that it's only going to get worse from here. Well, then they're not going to keep functioning in the machine.
Because you know, that's the thing, like I alluded to. I really think if you actually sat the people who were super hyped down, like Sponge and all these people on the subreddit, if you sat them down,
they really are hype, or do you think that they're just putting it on?
No, because here's the thing. I actually think, without being too condescending, which is hard for me, I just think a lot of them haven't thought these points through. Like, if you notice, one thing that is a skill of mine, someone in League of Legends even said this to me on a talk show. He said, the thing about you is it's not that, like, you just remember. He said, you always remember the context, so you're able to, like, connect the points. It's not that you just go, this happened in 2013. You'll be like, and of course, in 2013, people used to think CS was good. And you remember he said, that's the reason why I'm always interested to talk to you. I think they just don't put the details together. Like, if you actually sat them down, I think the reason they're hyped, like I said, Semmler, is they've pinned all their naive pipe dreams to the idea of CS2 succeeding. So I think, for real, it's not a joke. I think people like Sponge actually think that if a CS2 comes out, that like half the Valorant pros will come to CSGO again, and like Tarek will be back, and Shroud will be back, and all the streamers and all the Fortnite streamers will start streaming CS, and then maybe CS gets even bigger. And then, you know what, maybe in China, by the way, I'm just doing it where it's pipe dreams here. Then they just throw in all their other pipe dreams. Then maybe in China it gets huge. It's like League of Legends. And the next thing you know, it's the biggest game. And it's like, actually, the actual update's like, you can look at your skin in a slightly scaled up resolution. Like, brilliant. Like, that's all it was in the end. Like, and I had to sit through like 90 days of people like, I'm almost there. I'm so close. Oh no, it's another failed orgasm. Oh, maybe tomorrow. Like, every day, mate. Like, the subreddit's just all tweets. Have you seen it? It's nothing. It's just all tweets. Like, I can't believe they've added, look, Semmler, on this map, they've written the word 2. What do you think they're hinting at? It's like, this is nothing. These clues are shit, aren't they? I know, they're so bad. They're so bad, mate. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.